And welcome back to our final hour in Citizen Extra. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with our discussion on politics, taking a look at the personalities and the issues. Joining me this hour, Nairobi Women Representative Rachel Shebesh. Very shortly we'll be speaking to her one-on-one, but also staying with us is Dunstan Omari, who's a political analyst, and later we'll be catching up with governance expert Joy Modivo on the program. But first, let's begin with you, Shebesh. Thank you for coming in. We begin with the nomination process. Were you satisfied with it? Because though you were announced the winner of that particular primary, you did have concerns. We saw you at one point, cause a stir at the party's tallying center, arguing about, the credibility of the exercise, the vote counting, etc. Walk us through that.
Well, thank you. Of course, I wasn't satisfied or happy with the process, because I think we opened ourselves up to interference in our elections when we said that anybody with an identity card can vote. And so what happened was it led to infiltration, heavy infiltration by our competitors. Be that as it may, I was still ahead. But there was also an attempt by some of our returning officers to tamper with my results. And that's why I went to the tallying center in your stadium. So I didn't go there just to do drama. I went there to protect my vote. And I can tell you, Anne, if I did not do that, we probably would be speaking a different story right now.
Well, you claimed that there were forces within Jubilee who were working against you. Who are these forces, and why do you think that is?
I don't know why, by the way, because I'm very loyal to the party and I work extra hard for the party. But I'll not name them, but I think they know themselves, and everybody knows them. And everybody knows where they were stationed. Everybody knows the kind of instructions they were giving, and it's sad. That's all I can say.
Why will you not name them? Because if you really, your interests really are the parties.
It's a party matter. Parties are supposed to be like membership clubs, where you join a party because you believe in it, and you are willing to stand with that party, even when things go wrong. And I'm a firm believer. I don't want to name names because I think we're going through that painful process right now of recovering from the bruising. And Nairobi has a lot of bruising, and we will need to heal so that we can form a strong team going forward. But I think that will probably take us a week or two, sitting on the table and agreeing which method we're going to use to forge forward.
You also, at some point, some would argue sensationally, claimed that one of the aspirants was out for your life. You claimed to have information of a meeting that had been set up whose purpose was to plot your assassination. Tell us, have you gone to the police with these claims?
I was not being sensational, because that's the word you've used. I have had credible information. I think every Kenyan has seen the kind of vitriol and passionate, hatred from some of my competitors, which actually looks sometimes unreasonable. And it's something that those around me decided we shouldn't take for granted. And on that day, I wanted to go around to the polling stations, as any candidate should do. But
did you report the same to the police?
No, I didn't. I just got protection. And decided that I will not do too much of the polling stations, since what was being planned is if I go to a polling station, then there's chaos, and then, and I thought it was a bit petty. So what I did is I went to vote at my polling station in Resambu, and went to one more polling station, and then I went back to my tallying center. So that I couldn't open up an avenue for people who are idle and obviously not winning to keep causing chaos in the tallying centers that the polling stations that I'll be visiting. So I just decided to take protection and keep away until the end of the voting exercise. And
this is why some would argue that that was a sensational claim, because the issue of your life being threatened certainly is no small matter. And if the gravity, let me finish, if the gravity was to that extent, really, then one would imagine you would also, seek lawful protection. Are you saying you do not have confidence in the work of the police to safeguard your life or to investigate the matter?
And it's not the first time my life has been threatened. It's not the first time. In politics, it's expected. I just did not want to cause a furor during the nomination day. And I thought that if I had gotten protection, because I did get protection, then I was good to go. So I'll leave it. I'll leave you and Kiguta with your opinion on sensationalism. It's yours. You can keep it. I know what I was doing.
All right. I want to go to the question of healing the county, because you've talked about, you know, this being a bruising period. You've just come from a bruising period, especially in the Nairobi primaries. What do you think it's going to take for Jubilee Party to form a solid team to go into competition for the Nairobi seats?
The first thing that happens during an election is those who win must bring on board those who lost. And there were heavy losses in Nairobi. That's everybody has seen. And in those heavy losses lie a huge percentage of our vote. And so the way we deal with Peter Kenneth is fundamental to how we will move forward. He cannot be ignored. Neither can the vote that he got be ignored. Neither can the campaign he did be ignored. And neither can the goodwill that he still commands in Nairobi be ignored. So I am not the type of person to chest thump at all. And I'm asking my colleagues, and we've been speaking, to tone down the chest thumping and start looking for the middle ground that we need to come to allow for our campaigns. Let me tell you, Anne, Nairobi is 50-50. And when I say that, it's been there in history. It's always been a stronghold between two people, Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. And which means that between NASA and Jubilee, the competition in Nairobi needs to be so strategic. It cannot be emotional. It cannot be about noise. It can't be about big rallies. It must be about door-to-door. It must be about being able to explain what Jubilee can offer in their governorship that CORD, because that's what it was before, did not offer. So we must be able to say what our governor will do different from what Kidero has done, and why we think there is a Jubilee establishment that we should be given a chance to run Nairobi. And that must be done without noise, and it must be done by bringing everybody on board. So I am hoping that by next week, when we get our tickets, because there's still tribunal issues going on, petitions, as soon as we go through that hurdle, I think we will be giving our blueprint to the Nairobians and hope that we'll see another side of running Nairobi that they haven't seen before.
You have attempted to strike a conciliatory tone, at least on this show, in terms of bringing the party together, you know, with a common game plan for the Nairobi race. How important do you think it is for one in your position, the women's rep, to have a good working relationship with the governor?
It's not even it's not a choice. You can't move forward if you don't have that good relationship, because as I say again, when you're campaigning in Nairobi, there is an aspect of a team that gives, I don't know if I can say confidence. In Nairobi, individual campaign will not work. It must be teamwork. And as I've said, this is still my colleague even as you're speaking, because our governor candidate is the current senator of Nairobi, and our Senate candidate is a current member of parliament nominated in Nairobi. So we have a working relationship. All I've said is, as we forge this working relationship, we must bring on board those who lost. And I am confident that we will do so.
You were seen to be very much in Team PK, if you like, in the run-up to this particular nomination exercise. You have also had your problems with the senator. At some point in his campaign, he made a veiled reference to you, basically alluding that you have been the source of problems for him. And you have said just minutes ago that it's important to have a good working relationship. Are you willing and in a position to go out and campaign shoulder to shoulder with Mike Sonko?
I said it's not a choice. It's a must, and it will happen.
I did hear you. I'm just asking about how practical you think it is, given the fact that you've come from a bruising campaign, just as you've mentioned. What steps is it that you would take, perhaps, to endear yourself to a team that you did not support in the run-up to the nomination?
First of all, the word endear is also not, I don't know, and today you're choosing quite well.
I can't choose the words that I want to use as I'm the one conducting the interview. Go ahead and answer.
Yeah, and we had our issues with the senator. We even had our issues with Kidero. They are behind me solidly, and I don't give them time or space anymore, because I think they are a waste of my energy, and they don't give my focus. So I have told you, I'm focused. We will deliver Nairobi. We will work as a team. How we do that is up to us as a team. And I have said, I will bring on board those who voted for Peter Kenneth, hopefully with Peter Kenneth. Because I was in Team PK, and we did campaign. They were in Team Nairobi. They did campaign. So here we are. These are the results. This is what Nairobians have said. We must work with it. So we don't have the luxury to remember whether we don't like each other or we work with. We don't have that luxury. We don't have that. We need to work, and we will.
Have you had any preliminary meetings between the winners of the nomination process?
And up to now, there are petitions where we are waiting for the outcome so that we are solidly know who are our candidates. So until that happens, we still do not know. For example, yesterday is when the decision for Starehe was made. We are waiting for the decision for Kamkunji, I think also Resambu. I think 1 or 2 Embakasis. I think Embakasi Central, yes. So we haven't gotten our team yet, but we are believing that by Friday, Saturday, we'll have our team. As soon as we have our team, Jubilee, including the MCAs who are the flag bearers for Jubilee, once we have that meeting, we must then have that meeting of reconciliation. And those are the steps we are following.
In certain interviews where you have been put side by side by other competitors for the Nairobi women's race, some would go as far as saying perhaps it took a more personal tone. Why do you think the Nairobi race in particular has been so bare-knuckled?
The one for women rep?
For women rep and even the gubernatorial one?
Oh, because the women rep seat in Nairobi is a powerful seat. The governor seat in Nairobi is a powerful seat, and the Senate. Why? Because Nairobi is the capital city, and by the time you win an election in Nairobi, like I did last time, I had 600,000 votes plus. That's a huge chunk of votes. You can't compare Nairobi for women rep seat with a women rep seat of really any other county because of its power. I believe that all my competitors wanted to do, and those who were also for governor and senator, was just to be able to take up the position of a very strong position in Nairobi. So it was bare-knuckled because, first of all, this is politics. Politics is not church. It is exactly what it was. It may have gone personal. I think it always happens in politics. It goes personal at a point. But I tried to steer away from the personal attacks that were being thrown at me.
Right.
Once in a while I had to respond, but I tried as much as I could to keep away from that.
Yeah, in particular, it got heated with Wangoi Nganga, who has protested the way in which the primaries were conducted, etc. She went as far as to call into question your moral standing and said, quote, in an interview with NTV, that a woman leader must be respectable. You did, in that interview as well, veer away from the subject, but nonetheless, there's a broader question in terms of how women leaders are viewed. Do you think women are held to a different standard than men when it comes to politics?
Yes. Yes.
How so?
First, I think when you are a woman leader, there is an expectation that you shouldn't play hardball politics. And once you start playing that hardball politics, the impression is that you are a woman who really doesn't care, you are strong-willed, you don't listen, you're arrogant. It becomes that automatically, when all you're really doing is trying to put your opinion across, and if it needs you to be a bit persistent, you will. So if men do that, it's politics. When women do that, it's arrogance, and we have lived with it. But can I tell you, Anne, we've come from a far place. That used to happen a lot. It doesn't happen too much now. People have now realized that women are on equal footing with men when it comes to politics. So it's not as bad as it was in the beginning. Okay. And that is because over the years, through serious intervention and civic education, Kenyans have known that if you elect a woman, it's just as good as electing a man, and that the work the woman will do is exactly the same as the man will do as your leader. So we've come from far. But yes, women are held with a different standard, and it's not fair, but it happens.
You initially wanted to quit politics. In fact, for some time there was complete uncertainty as to whether you would take part in this race. At the point where you took pause, if you like, from the political limelight, etc., what was the thinking behind it, and why have you decided, to make this run again?
First, and we didn't have money. It sounds like a lame excuse, that's what people keep saying, but it's not. When an MP is elected, they get immediately CDF money, 100 million average, as soon as they're elected. So in a month or two, an MP is already seen on the ground doing projects through the CDF, which is a national government fund. So the first thing we did when we came in as women reps, when we realized we haven't been allocated any money, was to start lobbying for this money. And we got this money after 3 years. So in the last 1 year and maybe half, there is a lot of work we've done on the ground. But the silence of 3 years, which was not silence that we're not talking, but silence that people could not see tangible stuff on the ground, was difficult for women reps. And I really believe that's why there's been an almost total overhaul of women reps all across the country, because people did not understand why this woman doesn't seem to be doing anything. By the time we came in to start working, it depended on how aggressive you are and how much you're able to reach out. So that was the first thing. And the second thing was, and I've told this a lot of times, there is a time in politics where there's too much noise. And when there's too much noise, you can decide to go on with the noise or choose silence. And so I chose silence. It's just as simple as that. Third, when we were now planning our team for Nairobi, and with our party leadership, we wanted to see diversity in our lineup. Actually, I'm the first person who started that conversation. And it's a conversation we have had for 2 years or so. Diversity is important in Nairobi, so that your team does not look like it comes from one ethnic community. And so at that time, we tried to form a lineup. Actually, we've tried it twice to get a lineup that shows diversity. So when this discussion was being had, I did offer my seat to the Kisii community. Because in Nairobi, the Kisii community, the Luhya community, the Kamba community, the Somali community, they are serious communities in terms of numbers in Nairobi who have a great stake in Nairobi. And last time we didn't do a very good job of it. So I did give up my seat for the Kisii community, but during the giving up of that seat, the lineup that was supposed to exit me from women rep to probably nominated senator or MP, a discussion we had not really even gone into, that team refused the lineup. Actually, that team is what broke away and formed Team Nairobi. So, you know, you can't be forced into a situation you don't want to be forced into. If you don't see the need for that situation, you have every right to say, I don't agree. And they didn't agree. So eventually, anyway, we went back to the seats. Everybody said, okay, then let's go back and get nominated. And that's what happened. So I won. Even with all those things you're saying, there was silence, there was confusion, I still won overwhelmingly. Why? Because I think the people of Nairobi have confidence in me, and they see me for really who I am. And really my silence and all that, it has come to pass.
Okay. You've talked about the women rep position in Nairobi being, you know, different from other counties because of its power. What have you done with the power you've had for the last 4 years?
A lot. I have initiated programs and that I think will fundamentally change the way women do business in Nairobi, the way the youth get empowered in Nairobi, the way the persons with disability is treated in Nairobi. Those are my big projects, and I am confident that I'll continue with them. And let me start with the issue of disability. It's been an area that has been ignored for a while. Children with disability don't go to school. Yet we say we have access to free primary education for all children. A child with disability is a child. But there was no opportunity for that child to go to school because most public schools don't have that facility, even if they have been mandated by government to have a facility, a therapy unit for children with disability, they don't have. So most of the money I used from the Women Fund, I set up 17 classes, 1 per constituency, where today a mother who has a child with disability can take that child to that school. There are 17, I think 14 are complete and equipped. I renovated classes, I put in the necessary equipment, and the school will provide the teacher. So I think, by the way, that probably would be the thing that I'm most happy about having done.
And that's, I suppose, where you want to pick up from.
Yes.
Stay with us, Rachel. I want to cross over to Hassan Mugambi, who's standing by for us. I believe he's still at the Jubilee Party headquarters. He's been following the process of, you know, tribunal sittings throughout the day and can join us now with an update. Hassan, tell us more.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we are waiting for around 67 cases that are supposed to be heard and determined today. Of interest in the 67, the lot of 67 that is going to be heard today include that of Othaya constituency, where Mary Wamboi is taking on Gishuki Mugambi's nominations bid, as well as Wanjiko Muhia and Faith Wairimo of Nyandarua County, woman representative, and Alice Wahome and James Kamau of Thika. Those are some of the appeals that are going to be heard by the board today. Remember, they are hearing 67 cases, and here with me, as you can see right behind me, is it is the main entrance to the Jubilee headquarters, and just a few of aspirants just seeking to gain entrance into this particular building in their cases. They're being called number by number, one by one. Remember, they're restricting entry to avoid a lot of drama inside this particular building, so to speak, because previously they were allowing some of the supporters and the candidates and supporters into the but then again, as yesterday, there was a bit of drama and a scuffle inside that particular building, and that is why they have decided to do some crowd control here to just keep people out, and unless they are really, really needed inside. And now I'm now joined by some of the aspirants who just came to present their cases here, and their cases have been heard, and they're waiting for their verdict. Ujambo. What brings you to the Jubilee house?
I came to Jubilee because I was an aspirant for Embakasi South, and my main aim was to come today to Jubilee to know what is the verdict of our issue, because the other constituencies for Nairobi have been gazetted. There's a newspaper and they know they are member of parliament, and I was delighted to come and see that the wish and the will of the people of Embakasi South has been honored by them awarding me the winner of Embakasi South seat. And I can tell people for Embakasi South, say thank you for them for appointing me to be their nominee and the Jubilee Party, and the party for seeing the truth, because we didn't go to appeal board, but we went to the dispute tribunal board, which went through the papers, and I was not there yesterday, and I was told that your name has been inserted. We were fighting it with George G. Jenga and Mutunga Mutungi, and me, David Njuguna Mbugwa. But they have, I defeated these people with a few votes, and they have declared me as the winner of Embakasi South.
What do you make of the process of appeal? Because a lot of candidates who are presenting themselves here are saying it is super slow.
The issue is not super slow, because you are talking of people bringing complaints. Some of the areas there are more than 4 or 5 candidates, and I tell you it's a tedious job, because you are, as a judge, as a lawyer, the lawyers who are representing the aspirants and the tribunal board, you are being told something that you didn't see. So you have to get the evidence, they have to go through the files, they have to call the returning officers. And these returning officers, mind you, they worked overnight on the day we had the election, the nomination day. And they were tired. I can tell you, somebody like me have been coming here for every day, and I leave at midnight. And you'll see each and every candidate want to be heard. Each and every aspirant want to be heard. There are complaints. There are so many complaints. You have to get the files. You have to get the votes. Even some of the aspirants. You have heard of cases whereby the opponents go and they destroyed the ballot boxes. They destroyed the ballot papers. So you come here, you are confused. There are no the evidence you are talking about has been destroyed. And
so do you have word that do you have confidence that your name will be inserted in the Gazette, as you have said?
I'm 100% confident, because 3 days ago I've been asking why am I not the winner, and today I've seen my name has been inserted, and the name of the other guy, the other aspirant we were fighting with, has been removed, because I'm the legitimate winner of Embakasi South seat. And everybody knows I defeated my opponent with the 2 votes. And there is no way, even if you go recounting you cannot add those 2 votes. I've defeated you with the 2 votes, I've defeated you with the 2 votes. And the idea of the returning officer has disappeared. There are no votes. We'll go back to tribunal. I refused. Because I knew when we go to tribunal, we'll waste a lot of time and it might jeopardize everything. And we can end up not getting the right winner. So what I can tell people of Embakasi, I'm very grateful for them. God bless people of Embakasi, the party, and all the people who campaigned for me.
Well, thank you very much. There you have it, and he defeated his opponent, closest opponent, with only 2 votes. The 2 votes that it is quite a close shave here. And just to speak to another of the aspirants who have turned up here, they're saying that some of these processes are very, very slow, and they're making a lot of noise, and I will be speaking to him. First of all, let's start with your name and the area that you're seeking to represent.
My name is Keroga Buku. I'm seeking to represent Shinka Ward in Odhaya as the MC of the area, and I won smart in my ward. I defeated the guy who was second to me with about 4,000 votes.
So I saw you engaged in a bit of a scuffle here when the official from inside came in to read the names. What seemed to be the problem?
Okay, now we were explaining to him, because you know we had our hearing last Saturday evening, and I want to congratulate our party. It has done very well in terms of hearing our petitions. Now we were told to come for the ruling at 10:30. Now, what I was miffed about that official, we were telling him we have come for the ruling as instructed by the party, and then he was saying, "No, don't ask me about rulings. We are just here. I just want to hear appeals." Now, we are telling these gentlemen, our friends, this is Jubilee Party. We believe in it. We love our president. We've been campaigning there for our party. You can even see the attire. So. Don't come and talk to the aspirants that way, because you know we are responding to what we were told by the party. You see?
Are you confident that the process will be fair for you?
Yeah, for me, I must say I have a lot of confidence in our party, and you know there was a lot of petitions that were coming up, but in future we would like our party to look at some of these petitions, because when someone says you have not studied well, ati huna certificate, kwani yeye ni mwalimu wako? Kwa hivyo I have a trust in our party. I believe all will be well, na tunashukuru chama yetu, tunangojea tu uamuzi.
Well, thank you very much. There you have it. Confidence exuded to the party despite of a very, very slow process that some of the aspirants and their supporters are complaining here. They're saying that the process has been very, very slow. But then again, we are keeping it here, and we'll be keeping you updated on the happenings and the goings on at the Jubilee headquarters. Over to you now, Anne.
Thanks, and we'll shortly catch up with Stephen Leto, who's at Gracia, following the same, for ODM. But Rachel, let me come to you quickly on the Jubilee question, because you yourself are before that tribunal. How are you finding the process of, dispensing of the matter? Is it too lengthy, or, is it what you can expect given the number of appeals that are before this body?
It's just too slow, and I think we have too many petitions. So I think even the party's expectations were not this high in terms of petitions. It's huge. I was there, for example, from around 2, I left at midnight, and that's what's happening. Everybody's staying there a whole day. But eventually everybody will be seen, actually. And I think there are enough chambers now where people are going in. They have tried to expand and expand and expand, I think, to the capacity of the party. So it may be slow, and it's actually very slow. But I think patience is really needed.
Okay, I'm going to open up our conversation to the rest of my panel now. Dunstan Omari is a political analyst, and he's joining us. Joy Mudiva, a governance expert, staying with us. And again, shortly we'll be crossing over to see the situation with ODM. But let me begin with you, Joy, because you've heard Rachel and basically the tribulations, if you like, she's gone through up to the nomination process, and talking about women being judged by a different standard than men, and the Nairobi race in particular being very bruising, being very personal as well. What are your thoughts on that? And is it just the way it is, that you can't, like they all say nowadays, politics is in church?
No, it has to change. It's one of those things that has to change. I have a case in mind of Bishop Margaret, who was involved in some altercation, and we see how the courts have handled her. In fact, one of the things I wondered was, in this situation, where was the party when she was being arraigned in court to come and stand up for one of their own? We do not condone election offenses, but when we see election offenses all around, but we see one person singled out, and it happens to be a woman leader, and she's put through the ringer for something. I mean, the charge was malicious damage, but she was supposed to be in custody for 5 days for statements to be recorded. I mean, it was ridiculous. And it's one of those things where we have to now stand up and say, look, women leaders are leaders nonetheless. They deserve respect. The same support that you would give other leaders, you need to give women leaders. And over and above that, this hypocrisy of holding women to a higher moral standard or to a different moral standard is absolutely ridiculous. And it goes as far, not just in terms of politics, even in the public sphere. There's an article in one of the dailies today talking about how women are earning far less than men in Kenya for equal work done. And it's one of those cultures that I think do not do us any favors. The women in this country have demonstrated that they have enough capacity to handle. All they need is opportunity and equal recognition for their work. So it's one of those things I must join issue with Honorable Shebesh and say, time has come for us to stop with the hypocrisy. Politics is a hard knock game, and in the hard knock game, if a woman hits you hard, take it like a man, and if you cannot, if the kitchen is too hot
or
for
take
you,
it like a woman, you know.
Or take it like a woman. And also the time is a woman who bruises a man, and then he looks for extra support in dealing with this woman, and so we need to change that.
Dunstan, Shebesh has agreed that, you know, it's been a bruising race in Nairobi, and now here she is in the position where she said she's willing to work with the Jubilee gubernatorial winner, aspirant winner, I should say, Senator Sonko, with whom she's had a tumultuous background, nonetheless willing to forge forward. How does the party do this? Because the reality is, well, whilst people must work together, one would imagine, for the interests of the party, behind the scenes you can expect that each one would still be advancing the interests in which they went into the campaign. How can the party mediate or help calm the tensions that have arisen from these bitter primaries?
And thank you very much, and I wish to congratulate Honorable for that battle to regain her seat, because it was vicious. We have been monitoring it, and it was very, very good for her to come out fighting until she was given that ticket. And the first issue that I look at it is that, one, the parties are not women friendly. Both NASA and Jubilee are male-dominated parties. Jubilee, where my good sister Honorable has won a college, the party was led by a woman. Mysteriously, she was removed the last 3 days before the elections. Veronica was thrown out, Tuju came in. So the decisions that are going to be handed over will be male-centered against the female centers. It is a wake-up call to the ladies that it's no longer time to ask for, please give us. They must fight it out, they must get it. And that is the position that the reality has come in. And when you look at these party primaries, the questions that come in is that, were the parties really parties? Were they aware of the enormous amount of logistical arrangements that were supposed to be put in place? I don't think. I went to the ODM's tribunal. It was chaotic. Yesterday I was at Pangani to represent my client. It is just chaotic. It is only that it has not, the magnitude has not been put to the nation to see what is going on there. If people are there for the last 4 days, people are showering there, people are sleeping there, people are keeping vigil there, is that what we fought for in terms of multi-party democracy? We need to relook the law on the primaries and hold the parties accountable, because they receive state funds, taxes of every Kenyan, and therefore they are supposed to do that bare minimum. The question that arises is, do those parties call the internal dispute mechanisms? Are they sufficiently equipped to deal with the type